What is up? I'm young Mattro here with WKNC. I have a couple members of D-Town Brass with me today. Tell the people who you are and what you do.
Bob?
My name's Bob. I compose and play reeds in the band.
My name's Ben. I also play reeds in the band.
My name is Andy McGowan. I play keyboards and compose music.
So how are you guys doing today?
Good.
Never better.
All right, I'm going to start off with some really basic questions, and then we can get into the weirdest stuff later.
No,
First off,
no base.
There's no basic questions, only basic answers.
all right.
All right.
On what are some of your biggest influences? I know in the paper you sent me, you referenced Sun Ra and Fela Kuti, and I definitely agree with those two. What are some others that influence your playing, whether on like a personal level or as like the whole band?
I would say for me personally, the music of Don Van Vliet, Captain Beefheart, and also Charles Mingus, and yeah, that's probably most of mine.
I mean, we would agree with that. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
100%.
We have tons of influences all over the place. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of us in the band, so we bring a lot of different influences in. A lot of us play in a lot of other bands, so we're bringing a lot of different flavors in to every song.
But Sunrise was a fortuitous influence because we've all listened to the music and worshipped the man, the man, to call him a man, the
That's
god,
more than a man.
the deity, Sun Ra.
The Neptunian.
And then we see, that's what I was saying about repeating. But you should tell the story about meeting Ken.
Yeah, so one of our members actually played with Sun Ra.
Ken,
Back-
yeah,
Yeah, Ken.
he was in Space is the Place.
That's correct. Yeah.
this guy did his research.
He did.
Thank you, Matt.
So yeah, it's been great to sort of hear stories of how Sun Ra operated and pick his brain about that sort of stuff. I realized I was thinking about it today. I think playing with Sun Ra is what could be described as like a totalizing experience, where like everything about him is his art is so overwhelming, his creativity, his philosophy, his way of looking at life, that I think he's one of those people that you just spend some time with him and you're never the same after that.
Yeah, you're all in. Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do with this band.
Yeah, that's why I
No,
keep
we're not.
all 14 other members in a house that I own, and they're not allowed to go out except to shoplift food for me,
That's right.
and I feed them 1 cup of soybeans per day.
We're allowed to dumpster dive once a week.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then they get up at about 7 in the morning. I usually wake them up with a gong, and they rehearse
That's right.
throughout
We meditate
the day
first.
until they collapse.
We have an hour meditation session, and then we
Yes.
rehearse until everybody collapses.
Forced meditation.
Yeah.
But not at the same time. We have to meditate while the people are playing and kind of doing their dishes around us. It's awkward.
There's a program involved though.
Do any of you actually live together?
No.
No.
Okay.
None
I've
of
I've heard of bands that do stuff like that, but
No,
usually
I was like in my 20s, and it's hit or miss, believe me.
there are 15 people in the band, so that'd be a big house.
Well,
Yeah.
the orchestra would do that kind of thing,
That's
Yeah.
true. That's what they do.
and that's
I'm gonna
that's
pitch-
probably why he asked.
I'm gonna pitch a reality show where all 15 of us and whatever family members we have that we currently all have to live on a compound together, and all the hilarious hijinks and arguments that would ensue.
or just
Wow.
awesome music.
Or just that's
the
true.
music will only get better. You can only influence yourselves.
Yes.
Ideally, we'd have the internet still, right?
That's true. Or something.
Cut off from the. Now there's a premise.
Yeah.
Cut off from the internet.
Oh man.
I forgot what your question
Your
was.
question was, what are our influences? We do tend to.
True, and we talked about soundtrack music before. We crime jazz, I like to call it, like that 70s kind of hard driving, sometimes funky jazz, big band type arranging type stuff.
Every soundtrack for every Columbo episode.
Every Columbo soundtrack. We actually we dissected every single incidental cue in Columbo. Actually, I'm more into the Amazing Spider-Man cartoon stuff.
Really?
That somebody put on YouTube just a whole edit of just music cues from that cartoon.
The first.
Like
first,
60s Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it's just hard noir jazz.
Is
It's
it Nelson
the
Riddle
coolest.
shit?
I can't remember who did it. Quincy Jones did stuff like that, but I don't think it was him. I don't know.
I just
I'm
wanna-
following Spider-Man. I don't know what Columbo is. Sorry, might be before my time.
before our time too.
Peter Falk,
Okay.
yeah, before our time.
Oh, you should check out Columbo.
Yeah,
Okay.
you would.
You know, don't.
I don't know.
We all
Yeah,
have our,
Go ahead.
we all have our influences. No, you go ahead. What's the next question?
Okay, I've been to Durham a couple times, but I've never seen any local jazz shows ever. What's the jazz scene like in Durham, or the Triangle if you've gone out of it enough?
You might be going under the assumption that we're jazz musicians.
Yeah, I would say that we're jazz adjacent.
We play jazz music, but I wouldn't say we play in jazz clubs or jazz shows.
It doesn't need to be clubs. It's any show that has that type of music, whether it's jazz, funk, big band.
There was a club here in Durham called Sharp 9. Is that still a thing?
Sharp 9, it's
Yeah.
not.
We
It's
never
not a thing
we never
anymore?
played there.
We
Did we play the Shed?
Yeah.
Did we play the
No, we
Shed?
did not.
I
play
played the Shed a couple of times. I've got my jazz connections. Sometimes they'll let me play with them.
There was a place called Top of the Town that used to have, that's no longer out.
I don't know that place, but yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Of course, now it's been almost a year of nothing, so who knows what the scene is like.
Yeah, seriously.
We've tended to play like your rock clubs and indie rock scene type things, just because that's kind of the world that a lot of us came out of. And
Yep.
I think that our thing is huge, physically huge, like just takes up a lot of space, and sonically would tend to overwhelm your average jazz club.
Also, if you got like jazz cats hanging out, like being like, trying to see if somebody can play the changes or whatever, they might be disappointed.
Yeah, we don't need any jazz purists or like smoky cocktail lounges. I just need to know I want to get into the scene a little bit more, want to hear about it,
Yeah, well, the Shed was a really great spot, and then it closed down before the lockdown.
Actually, Sharp 9 still does stuff.
Sharp 9?
I know Mark Wells still does stuff there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mark
He
Mark
does-
plays in Raleigh a lot with Peter Lamb. Peter Lamb is great. He's an awesome tenor sax guy.
Yeah, Peter Lamb and the Wolves is great.
Al Strong is the guy. I think Al lives in Durham.
I think he does. He did stuff. at
He's one of the
Central.
organizers of Art of Cool, and he's a great trumpet player. He used to play with Peter Lamb a bunch, and I kind of know those guys, so I've played with them a couple of times. But
Mark Wells teaches my son piano.
so there's jazz players. Scott Sawyer is a guitar player. I took some lessons from him. I don't know, but who's the piano player though? That guy kills. He used to do like a open jam at the Shed.
Oh, that guy. The guy with
Ernest or
The Sterling piano player, the guy who goes around town with the parlor piano.
no,
Ernest
I don't know.
Waters?
I don't think so. But he really just cool player who had a trio that would play at the Shed all the time. I'm sure he still lives in Durham. Just great piano. I can't think of his name right now. It's like his initials are EH, I think.
There's a whole jazz scene that seems to come out of Central's jazz program, and that's about all we know. But yeah,
Well, and then there's the like Steve Coles, who plays with us, baritone sax, does like some more trad jazz kind of New Orleans type stuff, like the Sidecar Social Club.
And I think
So-
our one of our trombone players is a pretty accomplished jazz musician.
Danny Gruen is a really good player.
And I think he plays with like
he
real
plays for
jazz.
several national touring
Well,
nights. Yeah,
He plays with
Catherine Whale.
Catherine Whalen.
Think back, because I know it's been at least about a year, but do you guys have any crazy stories about shows and things that happen at them?
You tell the Budos band story?
Oh,
was that?
yes,
No,
yes,
no, not,
yes.
No,
Of course. What? Why not?
They're
They're gonna love that.
Had
music.
some very enjoyable shows with the Budos band.
We've played
Yes, out of
with the
Canada.
Budos band twice.
They're lovely people. Really, actually, super lovely people. We played some Star Wars theme music for a wedding.
Yeah, that's
for a
right.
wedding.
Oh,
We surprised everybody at the wedding. Playing all 15 of us on a balcony, playing down. It was like the march
The
of the
Imperial March.
Imperial March.
I don't even remember that. I don't remember.
It was at the planetarium in
in Chapel Hill. They had it was a whole science fiction themed wedding.
I remember
For some
being at the planetarium.
Extremely nerdy folks, and they had like a pan-galactic gargle blaster drink.
Was that the same? Was
Yes.
that the one I hooked us up with? Adrian Lycan?
Yes.
And then we also played the reception.
Yeah.
Wait, are you
course,
telling me you had those
the band-
songs back in 2016?
Say it again.
You didn't have those songs back in 2016.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I wrote most of those around 2014, 2015.
What? And didn't get released until 2020. That's crazy.
We move at our own rate. You know, it's partly because there's so many people in the group, and then a lot of us have like middle-aged lives with kids and jobs and,
And
stuff.
other bands too.
And
Yeah, that
bands.
makes
well.
sense.
So it's hard to fit it all in.
Yeah, but
What are
like,
some other bands that members are in?
So many. Wig Report. Ben's in Wig Report.
I'm
Ben here. You had Malt
I was in a
Swagger.
band called Malt Swagger for many years, which continues to exist in some form or another. Like we're actually trading songs back and forth now to try to write some stuff.
Cool.
And I have this other project that I call Soda Water Sea that I've been working on an album for.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That thing that I sent you.
What's that? Oh, that's.
And Bob, what else do you do?
These are Savage Nights.
I try to play in parking decks whenever I can. Since the lockdown, that's like my go-to is like I'll get like one or two other people, usually just one other person, musician, and we'll hit a parking deck and live stream. But I've been in tons.
Our rhythm section is
Ass
a band
loads
called
of bands.
The Weekend.
Yeah, the weekend is our rhythm section. Is the rhythm section for the weekend.
And members of your
Came up on Bacon.
Members of Erie Choir. I played on one of their records.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, we've got White Octave. Robert, our drummer, was the White Octave drummer. That's kind of a respected local band, I guess.
We've all been in bands for years. Lots of bands in lots of towns.
So many bands.
And
Lifers.
So
and still
many bands.
And still are.
I was going to ask if you guys were on hiatus because you have releases from 2013 and then releases from 2020. But I guess if you were writing songs throughout that time, does it really count as hiatus?
No, we were never on hiatus.
Okay.
We operate like we don't. It's not a poker club. We don't. We don't just meet every week just to have fun. It's like when there's something to do, we do it.
Okay.
Music that's been written that we want to put together, we do it.
But this is the first year that we haven't. Well, we did something early in 2020.
Yeah.
We have
But-
4. This is our 4th album, and we have a 5th that's recorded that's coming out this summer.
Okay, good.
Actually recorded on the same day as the one you just heard.
Yeah, we recorded 2 albums on the same day.
We're
That's
that
crazy.
good.
Yeah.
We are that good.
Oh no.
I thought it should have been a double album.
Well, and considering there were 15 of us and we record live,
Okay.
that's,
Yeah, I
was
think
a
it's
good-
impressive.
that was a good day. Yeah, it was a good
Yes,
day.
yeah.
How many
But-
takes does that take?
We never do more than 2 takes for anything, do we? Maybe
I mean,
3.
occasionally maybe 3, but usually 1 or 2.
You can't really.
And it's always the second take. Because
Yeah.
if the first take is like, has to go with that
Right.
and move on.
Yeah.
I thought the music was always so well in sync. That's impressive.
Having a really crackerjack rhythm section makes everything a lot easier
Yes.
for everybody. Makes everybody
Yes.
sound way better than they are.
Yeah. They're so good.
Yeah.
I've long had a notion that I should always play with musicians who are better than myself. So even if I suck that night, they can carry my.
It's like being like the third smartest kid in the class.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Enough to push you forward.
Mm-hmm.
With so many people, what's the writing process like sometimes?
So usually Bob and I do the bulk of the composition. We tend to work independently of each other. My process involves to try to come up with find an idea, and then you develop it and add some stuff to it, and then you walk away from it for a while, and then you come back to it and listen to it again and add some other stuff. And
Maybe
then,
in an altered state.
yeah.
Some
And then
variety.
sometimes you just scrap entire versions of it, start over. But then, so you usually end up with like a demo recording, and I'll sit there and write all the parts out for everybody one by one, and then we get everybody together and try to work it out.
And we have a rule in the band that you have to actually write the charts by hand.
Oh no.
No, we don't really.
We don't really
Just
have
me,
no-
me and Andy do that.
We're just Luddites and they can't.
But they're-
I can't figure out the programs that do that.
Muse Score is free.
What's that?
Muse Score?
You score?
Muse
yeah.
Score.
It doesn't matter. Like you could have any program in the world, but I just get frustrated clicking buttons.
Yeah.
It could
It's-
be the Generation X thing.
It's the one actually creative thing we do. So we gotta do it.
That's right.
And yeah, we have other composers too. Is the other point. There's like several people in the band who've written cuts for the band, and we all work independently. We bring them to the band. Everybody we practice them.
Yeah, usually there's like, well, they'll be out writing songs, and then we'll get together. We'll have two. They're like, okay, we got enough songs. Can we all get together? And there'll be two rehearsals, once a week, where we'll get the music for the first time. And sometimes it'll be complete. Sometimes it'll be these little kernels of things like, hey guys, I don't know what this is gonna sound like with this and this. Let's try this.
Are you criticizing my composing technique?
No, I'm just saying it's very organic, and
Yeah.
sometimes not. Usually it's full blown, and we'll rehearse it 1 week, go home and practice or not, come back the next week again, practice it as a band, and then the third week we come back and re-record it, and then we go our ways for about 4 months or so.
Well, then we end up playing it on a bunch of shows, and then
That's right.
we have a good version of it, but it's already recorded.
Yeah, by the time we get about six or seven new songs, we'll book a gig, and then we'll play it live, and then we'll get around to recording it. And with a 15-piece band that meets 3 to 4 times a year in little spurts, that's a pretty good process. And so that's what I think you're talking about, our glacial pace. Like that's as fast as we can move.
But this is our 4th album, one of them on vinyl, the other's on CD, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've been around
11
it's like
years.
every
Really?
3 years,
Yeah, man.
11 years.
Yeah, man.
So that's not too bad.
Actually, no longer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's longer.
2008, 13 years. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's sort of like every 3 years we come out with a record. It's not too bad.
We're like mold or herpes or something.
You can come back.
Very hard to get rid of. We
Yeah.
grow slowly.
Nobody wants you there.
Yeah.
Nobody asked for that.
Something about the way that you dropped two albums in the same month in 2013? It just seems like insane process, and then a huge break, and then an insane process. But I guess it makes sense to sort of like years worth of occasional efforts going all at once.
Right. The one that's like an EP that called that is a bunch of early recordings that were recorded over the course of our first year in existence.
It's earlier stuff.
Yeah,
It's
earlier, like over maybe a year and 3 months. And then we did like sort of a more proper album. And then
Yeah, you don't even count that one as an album, but I think it's a great album.
yeah, I like it a lot.
I think it's a
And
fine
then,
album.
but so at the time I released that, what you would call the second one, I had the first one already, so I just put them both out at the same time.
All right, I have a couple questions about the sort of mythos that surrounds this band, especially on Demiurge. I can't tell from the voices who does the voiceovers, the monologues.
Me,
You
Andy.
do? Okay. Um,
I built a special machine for this recording. I wanted to make my voice just sort of like a.
I'm gonna go whiz on the.
Yeah, sound like I wanted it to sound like not be overdubbed, be performed live with the group, and not just be straight into a microphone and recorded really nicely. So I kludged together like this giant speaker array with like these a mix of like really nice speakers and like crummy plastic outdoor PA speakers and stuff like that I bolted together. And so that's how we did the voice for that. But yeah, I wrote all those words and the pieces that accompany them.
right. No need to explain the deeper meanings. That's up to the listener. But I have a couple weird niche questions about it.
Sure.
Who is Daniel Paul Schraber, the Beekeeper General of Retroactive Dynamics Inc.?
Oh, that's just some liner note fun that we had.
Okay.
Bob wrote that stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, I say he wrote it, but he does channel things from various timelines of the future, and through various we'll call them entities, beings, if you will.
He's in touch with several astral planes. Bob, here comes Bob. He's back now from his
And so, who is Bob Schreiber, General Beekeeping?
Judge Schreiber?
No,
Daniel Paul Schraber.
Daniel Paul. Who is he? You didn't
Yeah,
Google?
who is he?
Why are you asking? Oh, did you guys bring it up?
I'm interested. No, I'm bringing it up.
You're reading your liner notes, man.
I'm taking deep dives.
Oh, Daniel Paul Schraber. He's a legend. He's like a religious leader, and the origin of Freud's one of Freud's case studies on schizophrenia.
Oh, that
But
kind of religion.
He wrote memoirs of my nervous illness back in around the turn of the century, the previous turn of the century, like 120 years ago.
So it's a big influence.
Yeah, we were talking earlier also about how when we opened for that New Orleans Rebirth brass band, which is like a big New Orleans like party band, right?
Oh, Mardi
Like,
Gras, yeah.
they're the junk. They're and we opened for them at Motorco a couple of years ago, whenever that was. And I just remember thinking, suddenly realizing when we were playing that show how much we were just like bad vibe, like bringers. We're just like,
Then we throw in a jam.
it's like, and
we did bring a big bag of beads, so it was all right.
did we have beads?
Yeah.
But
We had beads.
At some point after one of my musical rantings, somebody from the crowd said, "I didn't come here to be preached at."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Well, you were preaching,
Sure.
True.
and nobody came here to be preached at. Nobody ever came anywhere to be, unless they were going to church.
Most people don't know why they go anywhere.
If you're going to church, you came there to be preached at. He's like, this ain't Sunday morning.
That's right.
I didn't come here to be preached at.
That's right.
So you guys have been together for a while. I think you said 11 years. How much has the cast changed, if at all, in this time?
A little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. I mean, we only had a few members leave. We've kind of gained.
Just at first, yeah.
Yeah, we started as 10, and we've just slowly added people over the years.
Now we're 15.
Now we're technically up to 16 if you count Stacy.
Jill?
No, not Jill. What's her name? The saxophone player?
Oh,
She only played one show with us, so it's
Jamie.
Jamie, that's right.
Oh, yeah. Is 16?
Might be 15 or 16. It's a little unclear. It's always the minimum is sort of 13. 13 is a quorum.
That's right.
But yeah, it's that we haven't really lost anybody. Everybody really enjoys it, and
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's like a young
That's what I thought.
gentleman's club.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any plans in the future? Do you have anything you want to shout out for the people?
Yeah, we want to shout out our own record. It's called Demiurge. You should totally pay to download it onto your digital device. Don't be a rube and just listen to it on the services.
Because it's not paid for. Like,
Yeah.
it was out of his own pocket.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that you should check that out, and then we're gonna have another record hopefully over the summer that as we mentioned before, recorded at the same time.
It's like a double record, kind of.
And we're working on other stuff, so hopefully when the pandemic is over, we can get back together and start playing again.
When we play again, come see us.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we
I
can't
look
really do
forward to
anything
that.
about it. We've been informed that playing a trumpet is like basically a germ cannon.
Yeah, I guess so. Air distribution.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the time today. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Matt.
Take care.
Yep.
Good to meet you, man.
Take care.